The bridge of the Harmony's Promise filled with smoke and the smell of burning metal. Captain Hana gripped her chair as another explosion rocked the ship. Sparks flew from damaged control panels. The lights flickered, went dark, then came back on at half power. "Shields down to 12%, the tactical officer reported. His 3 eyes blinked rapidly, a sign of fear in his species. Hana looked at the main screen. 3 Vrexian warships circled them like predators around wounded prey. Each ship was twice the size of Harmony's Promise. Each had enough firepower to destroy them 10 times over. They had already attacked once, crippling the diplomatic vessel's engines and weapons. Now they waited, watching. "How many crew members are left?" Hana asked. 47, Captain. We lost 19 in the first attack." Hana closed her eyes for a moment. 19 dead. Different species, different worlds. All united in their mission to bring peace to this sector. Now they were all gone. She opened her eyes and straightened in her chair. The survivors needed her to be strong. "Thel, can you send a distress signal?" The communications officer, a being made of living crystal that glowed soft blue, turned to face her. "Yes, Captain, but the long-range transmitter is damaged. I can only send on short-range frequencies. Any ship would need to be in this system or the next one to hear us." "Do it. Send to all Council military frequencies." Thel's crystalline hands moved across the controls. A moment later he dimmed, his usual glow fading. "Signal sent, Captain, but I am reading the tactical network. All Council fleets are engaged in other battles. There are no ships close enough to reach us in time." The bridge went quiet. Everyone knew what that meant. The Vrexians would attack again soon. Without shields or weapons, Harmony's Promise would die. And so would they. Hana thought about her options. They had none, but she refused to give up. "Thel, expand the broadcast. Send on all frequencies, every channel, every wavelength we can reach. Someone might hear us." "Captain, that includes primitive channels, newly contacted civilizations. They cannot help us." "I don't care. Send it anyway. If these are our last moments, let the galaxy know what happened here. Let them know the Vrexians murdered a peace mission." Thel obeyed. His glow brightened as he pushed the transmitter to its limits. The distress signal went out in all directions. On hundreds of different frequencies, in dozens of languages. Minutes passed, then an hour. The Vrexians maintained their distance, content to let fear do their work. The crew of Harmony's Promise sat at their stations, waiting for death. Then Thel suddenly brightened. "Captain, I am receiving a response." Hope flickered in Hana's chest. "From a Council ship?" "No, Captain. From a human vessel, the Indomitable. They are 3 days away at maximum speed." The hope died as quickly as it came. 3 days. Their life support would fail in 2. And humans? Hana remembered the reports. Earth had joined the Galactic Council only 15 months ago. Their technology was primitive. Their largest warship was smaller than a Council frigate. They used kinetic weapons, actual projectiles, instead of plasma or energy beams. Their ships couldn't even generate proper shields. Still, someone had answered. That meant something. "Put them through." A face appeared on the screen. A human male, perhaps middle-aged by their standards. He had short dark hair and calm eyes. He wore a simple uniform with the insignia of Earth's military. "This is Commander Jin of the Earth vessel Indomitable. We received your distress call. What is your situation?" Hana explained quickly. The ambush, the casualties, the Vrexian ships waiting to finish them, the lack of any Council ships close enough to help. Jin listened without interrupting. When she finished, he nodded. "How long can you hold?" "Life support will fail in approximately 40 hours. The Vrexians will likely attack before then." "Understood. Hold your position. Backup is coming." Hana blinked. "Commander Jin, with respect, your ship cannot reach us in time. And even if it could..." She hesitated, not wanting to insult him, but he seemed to understand. Even if we could, one human ship wouldn't be enough against 3 Vrexian cruisers. You're right. Jin smiled slightly. But I didn't say Indomitable was coming alone. Earth doesn't send single ships into contested space, not anymore. How many ships? Hana asked. Enough. Just hold position and stay alive. Earth is on the way. The transmission ended. Hana stared at the blank screen. Around her, the bridge crew looked at each other, some with confusion, some with disbelief. Captain, her first officer Voss said quietly. His breathing apparatus hissed as he spoke. Humans cannot help us. Their technology is centuries behind ours. We all saw the assessment reports. They are brave to respond. But what choice do we have? Hana interrupted. We wait. Maybe they surprise us. Maybe they at least distract the Vrexians long enough for a real rescue fleet to arrive. She didn't believe her own words. Nobody did. But they had nothing else. The crew worked through the next hours, doing what they could to keep the ship functional. They patched hull breaches. They rerouted power from damaged systems. They rationed food and water. And they waited. The Vrexians finally made contact after 6 hours. Their commander, a scarred veteran named Crix, appeared on screen. He looked pleased with himself. Captain Hana, your ship is dying. Your crew is suffering. I offer you a choice. Surrender now, and I give you my word that your crew will live as prisoners. You will be treated according to the laws of war. Refuse, and when your life support fails, you will all die slowly in the dark. I will not waste ammunition on corpses. It was a reasonable offer, cruel but reasonable. Prisoners had a chance. Dead crew members had none. I need time to discuss this with my crew, Hana said. Crix smiled. You have 12 hours. Then I want your answer. The transmission ended. Hana called all crew members who could walk to the cargo bay. 47 beings from 12 different species gathered. Some were injured. All were exhausted. But they came. Hana stood before them and spoke honestly. She explained Crix's offer. She explained their chances, which were nearly 0. Then she told them about the human response. Several crew members laughed. Not from joy, but from the absurdity of it. Humans? The newcomers who still used chemical rockets and metal bullets? But others didn't laugh. A young engineer from a prey species spoke up. At least someone answered. At least we won't die completely alone. Hana nodded. The human commander said backup is coming. He said to hold position. I don't know if they can save us, but they're trying. And as long as they're coming, I say we hold. We don't surrender. Not yet. She expected arguments. Instead, she saw something different in their faces. Not hope exactly, but something like it. Defiance, maybe. Or just the desire to believe that someone cared enough to try. The vote was unanimous. They would wait for Earth. 6 hours later, Jin sent another message. Just 3 words. 6 hours out, stay strong. 6 hours. Somehow, the humans were arriving 2.5 days early. Hana didn't know how. She didn't care. She gathered her crew again and told them. This time, nobody laughed. Anna sat in her quarters reading through Earth's file for the 3rd time. The information was basic, compiled by Council survey teams who had visited the Sol system 18 months ago. The report was not impressive. Earth was a single-planet civilization with no colonies beyond their own moon. Their fastest ships used nuclear fusion drives, technology the Council had abandoned 400 years ago. Their weapons were purely kinetic, railguns that threw metal slugs, missiles with chemical or nuclear warheads. Not a single plasma cannon or energy beam. Their ships had no shields, only physical armor made of steel alloys and ceramics. The assessment conclusion was blunt. Earth possesses minimal military capability. Their forces would struggle against even minor pirate groups. Not recommended for defense contracts or military alliance. Hana set down the datapad. These were the people coming to save them. These were the people she had asked 47 crew members to wait for, to risk their lives for. Her door chimed. "Come in." Voss entered, his breathing mask hissing softly. Her first officer settled into a chair designed for his methane-breathing physiology. "Captain, we need to discuss the human response." "I know what you're going to say." "Then you know I'm right. Humans cannot defeat 3 Vrexian cruisers. Their technology is primitive. Their ships are slow. Even if they arrive in time, they will die alongside us. We should accept Crix's offer." Hana looked at her friend. They had served together for 8 years. He was practical, logical, careful, all good qualities in a first officer. But sometimes you needed more than practicality. "Did you see the message from Commander Jin?" she asked. "Yes, he said backup is coming. But Captain, even if they send every ship Earth owns, they cannot match 3 modern cruisers." "Maybe. But they answered, Voss. Out of all the civilizations in range, only Earth responded. Only humans said they would come. That means something. It means they don't understand the danger. It means they are brave but foolish. Or it means they know something we don't." Hana stood and walked to her window. Outside, she could see one of the Vrexian cruisers, dark against the stars. "I made my choice. We wait for Earth." Voss was quiet for a moment. Then he stood. "I will prepare the crew. If we are staying, we should make the ship as ready as possible." After he left, Hana returned to reading. But this time, she looked at different parts of the file. Earth's history, thousands of years of almost constant warfare, weapons that evolved from rocks and sticks to nuclear bombs, conflicts that killed millions. Then, somehow, peace. Not perfect peace, but enough to reach for the stars together. Maybe Voss was right. Maybe the humans didn't understand what they were facing. Or maybe, Hana thought, humans understood violence better than any species in the Council. 4 hours passed. The Vrexian ships maintained their positions, patient and confident. On Harmony's promise, the crew worked. They reinforced damaged bulkheads. They created emergency shelters in the most protected parts of the ship. They rationed supplies and prepared for the worst. Then the Vrexians moved. All 3 cruisers changed positions, forming a perfect triangle around Harmony's promise. Weapons locked on, shields at full power. It wasn't an attack formation. It was a blockade. Crix's face appeared on the main screen. "Captain Hana, I see you are still preparing to resist. How disappointing. But I am a patient predator. You have 38 hours of life support remaining. When it fails, you will suffocate slowly. Your crew will panic. They will turn on each other. It will not be a good death." Hana forced herself to remain calm. "We are considering your offer." "Good. You have intelligence. But let me add something to help your decision." Crix leaned forward. "I intercepted an interesting transmission, a message from a human ship. They claim they are coming to rescue you." "How amusing," he laughed. It was a harsh, grating sound. "Humans. The newcomers who play at war with their metal toys. Captain, I have fought for 40 years. I have destroyed ships from a dozen civilizations. If humans come, I will add their wreckage to my collection. And you will watch them die before you die yourselves. Is that what you want? I want you to leave us alone. Then surrender. You have my word. Your crew lives." The transmission ended. Around the bridge, the crew looked at Hana. She saw fear in their eyes, doubt. They had heard Crix. They knew he was right about human technology. "Captain," Thel said softly. His crystalline form barely glowed now, a sign of exhaustion. "The human ship sent another update. 2 hours until arrival." 2 hours. Then they would know. Then they would see if Earth's promise meant anything. Hana addressed her crew. "I know you're scared. I am too. But we are still alive. We are still together. And someone is coming. Maybe they can't win. Maybe this is our last day. But we will face it standing, not kneeling. We are the Harmony's promise. We came here to bring peace. We will not surrender to those who want war. She expected silence. Instead, the tactical officer spoke up. My people have a saying, better to die in the light than live in darkness. I stand with you, Captain. Others nodded. Even Voss, practical Voss, inclined his head. We wait for Earth. The next 2 hours were the longest of Hana's life. She walked through the ship, visiting every crew member. She checked on the injured in medical bay. She shared rations with the engineers. She sat with the young ones who were crying and told them stories about her homeworld. She was in the cargo bay when Thel's voice came over the speakers. Captain, to the bridge, immediately. Hana ran. When she arrived, the bridge was chaos. Every screen showed something different. Every sensor was active. Every crew member was talking at once. Report! Hana snapped. Thel turned to her. His crystalline form was glowing brighter than she had ever seen. Captain, the Vrexians detected multiple contacts emerging from quantum space. But they are not using quantum drives. The energy signatures are different. How many contacts? 37, Captain. 37 ships. The bridge went silent. Hana stared at the main screen. Space itself seemed to ripple and tear. Points of brilliant light appeared, each one growing brighter. Then ships emerged, decelerating from speeds that should have been impossible for their technology. Human ships. Dozens of them, big ones and small ones, sleek ones and blocky ones, all of them moving in perfect formation, all of them heading straight for the blockade. Hana sat down slowly. She hadn't believed, not really. She had hoped, but she hadn't believed. Yet here they were. Earth had come. On the screen, the Vrexian cruisers were clearly panicking. Their formations broke as they tried to assess the new threat. Sensors swept the incoming fleet, weapons powered up. Then a transmission came through. A human face appeared on screen. A woman this time, older than Jin, with steel-gray hair and sharp eyes. She wore a more elaborate uniform with golden insignia. This is Admiral Yuna of the Earth Defense Force, 3rd Expeditionary Group. We are responding to the distress call from Harmony's Promise. Vrexian vessels, you will stand down immediately and allow rescue operations to proceed. There was a long pause. Then Crix responded. His face appeared on a split screen beside Yuna. He was no longer smiling. Admiral Yuna, you are brave to come, but you do not understand what you face. My 3 cruisers are more than a match for your entire primitive fleet. Withdraw now, while I still allow it. Yuna's expression didn't change. You fired on a Council diplomatic vessel. You murdered 19 crew members. You threatened 47 more. These actions violate 12 different articles of galactic law. I am authorized to use any force necessary to stop you. Crix laughed, but it sounded forced now. With what? Your antique weapons? Your ships without shields? Admiral, this is your last chance. Leave, or I will destroy your fleet and then finish my work here. Yuna was quiet for a moment. When she spoke, her voice was cold and hard. You have 5 minutes to withdraw your vessels and surrender for trial. This is your only warning. If you fire on Harmony's Promise, if you fire on my fleet, if you do anything except withdraw, I will show you exactly what human weapons can do. 5 minutes. The transmission ended. On the bridge of Harmony's Promise, nobody spoke. On the screens, the human fleet continued to advance. They weren't running. They weren't hesitating. They were moving into attack formation. Hana realized she was holding her breath. Beside her, Voss whispered, "They are actually going to fight." "Yes," Hana said, "Earth is going to fight." The 5 minutes passed in absolute silence. On the bridge of Harmony's Promise, every eye watched the screens. The human fleet had stopped advancing and now held position, forming a wall between the damaged diplomatic ship and the Vrexian cruisers. Hana counted the human ships again. 37. She saw one massive vessel in the center that dwarfed the others. That must be Admiral Yuna's carrier. Around it were what looked like battleships, heavy and blocky. Then smaller cruisers, destroyers, and tiny fighters that swarmed around the larger vessels like insects. None of them had energy shields. She could see that from the sensor readings. Just metal hulls, thick armor, and weapons that her tactical officer kept identifying as primitive kinetic systems. Against Vrexian plasma lances and quantum torpedoes, how long could they last? Crix's face appeared on screen again. He looked angry now. "Your time is up. Admiral Yuna, I gave you a chance to leave. Now, you will all die." He cut the transmission. On the tactical display, the 3 Vrexian cruisers moved into attack formation. Their shields brightened to full power, weapons locked onto the human fleet. Energy readings spiked as they prepared to fire. "They are targeting the human carrier," Thel reported. "All 3 cruisers. They are going to concentrate fire on the largest ship." It made sense. Kill the command vessel first. Destroy the admiral. The rest of the fleet would scatter or surrender. It was textbook military strategy. Voss gripped his chair. "The humans cannot survive that. 3 plasma lances at once. Even with armor, the carrier will be destroyed." Hana said nothing. She just watched. The Vrexians fired. 3 brilliant beams of superheated plasma crossed the distance in seconds. They struck the carrier Defiant Dawn exactly where the bridge should be. The screens flared white from the intensity. When the light faded, the carrier was still there. Its bow was glowing red, armor melted and peeled away, but the ship hadn't exploded, hadn't broken apart. The lights were still on, and as they watched, the carrier's weapons turrets rotated toward the Vrexian ships. Admiral Yuna's voice came through, calm and clear. "All ships, open fire!" The human fleet erupted. Dozens of weapons fired at once, and the space between the 2 forces filled with streaks of light. But these weren't energy beams. They were solid projectiles, moving impossibly fast. Railgun rounds accelerated by electromagnetic fields to a fraction of light speed. Missiles with chemical trails and nuclear payloads. Lasers designed not to cut, but to blind sensors and burn through targeting systems. The first railgun rounds hit the Vrexian cruiser Vengeance. The shields flared, trying to disperse the energy. But there was no energy to disperse. Just solid tungsten penetrators weighing several tons each, moving at relativistic speeds. The shields did nothing. The rounds punched through the shield like it wasn't there. They struck the armor beneath and kept going, through the outer hull, through the inner decks, through crew compartments and power conduits and weapon systems. Each round that hit created a tunnel of destruction through the ship. Vengeance took 3 hits, then 5, then 10. The ship shuddered with each impact. Internal explosions began to bloom along its hull as the penetrators found fuel lines and ammunition stores. "Impossible," Voss whispered. "The shields should stop those. Shields disperse kinetic energy. They are designed for this." Thel's crystalline form flickered as he analyzed the data. "The shields are designed for normal kinetic weapons, projectiles moving at standard combat speeds. These human weapons are moving much faster. The shields cannot dissipate that much kinetic energy fast enough." On screen, Vengeance was dying. More railgun rounds hammered into it. Missiles arrived seconds later, detonating against the already weakened hull. Nuclear fire engulfed sections of the ship. Then the reactor went critical. The explosion was silent in the vacuum of space, but brilliant. The Vrexian cruiser came apart in pieces, each fragment spinning away into the darkness. Crix was screaming orders now, his voice cutting through multiple channels. His 2 remaining cruisers spread apart, trying to make themselves harder targets. They fired again, plasma lances sweeping across the human formation. A human destroyer took a direct hit. The beam carved into its hull, cutting deep. Atmosphere vented. Debris spun away. But the ship didn't explode. Emergency bulkheads sealed. The destroyer fell back, damaged but still functional, and it kept firing. That was when Hana realized the truth. The humans built their ships to take damage. No shields meant every shot that hit would cause damage, so they designed their vessels to survive it. Redundant systems, armored compartments, multiple reactors. A human ship could lose half its hull and still fight. The Vrexian cruiser Retribution tried to run. Its commander must have seen what happened to Vengeance and decided survival was better than pride. The ship rotated, preparing to jump to quantum space. 3 human battleships moved to intercept. They were smaller than the Vrexian cruiser, but faster. They closed the distance in seconds, firing continuously. Railgun rounds slammed into Retribution's engines. Missiles targeted the quantum drive specifically. Within moments, the cruiser was crippled, its drives dead, unable to escape or maneuver. That left only Krix's flagship, Dominance. The Vrexian commander had stopped shouting. On screen, his face showed something Hana had never seen from him before. Fear. His ship fired wildly now, plasma lances sweeping across the human fleet. He hit a destroyer, a cruiser, and several smaller vessels. Each time the human ship took damage. Each time it kept fighting. The humans didn't break formation, didn't retreat. They just kept coming, firing with mechanical precision. Then the human carrier launched fighters. Dozens of small craft, each no bigger than a shuttle, poured out of Defiant Dawn's launch bays. They accelerated on chemical rockets, far slower than the Vrexian ships could move. But there were so many of them, swarming like angry insects. Each fighter carried missiles, small ones, individually insignificant. But when 50 fighters each launched 4 missiles, that was 200 weapons converging on a single target. The Vrexian point defense systems tried to shoot them down. Lasers and small plasma bursts destroyed dozens of missiles, but not all of them, not even close. The missiles struck Dominance in waves. They hit the weakened shields, already stressed from the railgun barrage. They hit the armor, finding weak points and damaged sections. They detonated in clusters, each explosion weakening the area for the next wave. Krix made one final decision. He turned his ship toward Harmony's promise. If he was going to die, he would complete his mission. He would destroy the Council ship he had come to eliminate, Dominance-powered weapons, targeting the damaged diplomatic vessel. The plasma lances began to charge. On Harmony's promise, alarms shrieked. There was nowhere to run, no way to dodge. Then a human destroyer appeared on screen. The ship was smaller than Dominance, battered from the battle, trailing atmosphere from a dozen breaches. But it moved directly between the Vrexian cruiser and Harmony's promise, deliberately, intentionally, placing itself in the line of fire. The destroyer's name was visible on its hull. Resolute. Krix fired. The plasma lance meant for Harmony's promise struck Resolute instead. The beam carved through the destroyer's midsection, cutting deep. The ship broke into 2 pieces, each half spinning away. But before it died, Resolute fired every weapon it had, at point-blank range. Railgun rounds tore into Dominance's bridge. Missiles detonated against the command section. The Vrexian flagship's shields finally failed, overloaded by the sustained barrage. The other human ships converged on Dominance. They didn't fire to disable. They fired to destroy. Hundreds of railgun rounds, dozens of missiles. Concentrated, overwhelming, merciless. Dominance broke apart, slower than Vengeance had, piece by piece, as internal explosions consumed it. The bridge section tumbled away, its lights flickering out. The reactor detonated last, a flash of white light that briefly outshone the nearby star. Silence fell across the battlefield. The third Vrexian cruiser, Retribution, had already surrendered. Its captain was broadcasting on all frequencies, begging the humans to stop firing. Human ships surrounded it, weapons still locked on but holding fire. Admiral Yuna's voice cut through the silence. "Cease fire. All ships, cease fire. Damage reports." One by one, human ships reported in. Many were damaged, some heavily. 2 destroyers were crippled. The carrier had lost its main forward armor. But they were all still there, still functional, still fighting. On the bridge of Harmony's Promise, nobody moved. They had just watched 37 primitive human ships destroy 2 modern Vrexian cruisers and capture a 3rd. They had watched a destroyer sacrifice itself to save them. Hana found her voice. "Thel, open a channel to Admiral Yuna." The Admiral's face appeared. She looked tired, but satisfied. "Captain Hana, are you and your crew safe?" "Yes. Thanks to you. Thanks to—" Hana's voice broke. She tried again. "A ship called Resolute saved us. It put itself between us and the Vrexian weapon. Are there survivors?" Yuna was quiet for a moment. "We are sending rescue teams now. Captain Tay managed to get most of his crew to the aft section before the hit. They sealed themselves in. We are getting them out now." "He saved us." "That is what we do, Captain. That is why we came." Yuna smiled slightly. "Rescue teams are heading to your ship now. We will get you home. All of you. That is a promise." The transmission ended. Hana looked around her bridge, at her crew. 47 survivors who should have died. 47 lives saved by humans who barely knew them. Outside, human rescue shuttles were already approaching. The first human shuttle docked with Harmony's Promise. 30 minutes after the battle ended, Hana stood at the airlock with Voss and 3 other senior crew members. She didn't know what to expect. The report said humans were similar to several council species, bipedal, similar size, similar environmental needs. But reports were one thing. Meeting them face-to-face was different. The airlock hissed open. A human stepped through, wearing a bulky suit with a clear helmet. Behind him came 3 more, carrying equipment cases and medical supplies. The first human removed his helmet and smiled. He was young, maybe 25 in Earth years. Dark hair, friendly eyes, tired but eager. He bowed slightly, a gesture Hana recognized from Earth's cultural files. "Captain Hana, I am Engineer Wu from the Defiant Dawn. My team is here to help with repairs. Where do you need us most?" His words came through a translator device on his collar, turning his language into something Hana could understand. She gestured to Thel, who was standing nearby. "Our communications officer can show you the worst damage. Life support is failing. Power distribution is unstable. We have hull breaches on decks 3 and 5. Wu nodded and started talking rapidly into a small device on his wrist. Within moments, more shuttles were docking. More humans were pouring into the ship. They moved with practiced efficiency, carrying tools and materials Hana didn't recognize. A human woman approached, this one older, with medical equipment. She looked at the assembled crew, her eyes taking in the different species. "I am Medic Nari. Anyone who is injured, please come with me. I have studied your basic biology, but I will need help understanding your specific needs." Hana directed her to Medical Bay, where the worst casualties waited. Nari went immediately, not hesitating even though she would be treating species she had probably never seen before. Over the next hour, the ship came alive with activity. Human engineers crawled through access tubes, running new power cables. They patched hull breaches with quick-seal foam and temporary plating. They brought portable life support units to supplement the failing systems. They worked alongside the council crew, asking questions, learning the ship's systems, improvising solutions. Hana watched a human engineer working with her own crew to repair a coolant leak. The human couldn't read the labels, which were in 4 different languages, none of them from Earth. But he studied the system for 5 minutes, then started pointing and giving instructions through his translator. He understood the principles. Coolant was coolant, pipes were pipes, pressure was pressure. The details were different, but the physics was the same. In Medical Bay, Nari was treating Thel's damaged crystalline structure. The medic had no experience with silicon-based life forms, but she asked questions, listened to Thel's answers, and worked carefully. She used a solution meant for treating damaged glass to seal a crack in Thel's outer layer. It wasn't perfect, but it worked. Thel's glow brightened immediately. "Thank you," Thel said. "How did you know that would help?" Nari smiled. "I didn't. But you said the crack was letting your internal fluids leak out. I needed something to seal it. I had a compound designed for repairing spacecraft windows. You are both made of silicon. So I tried it. I am glad it worked." A commotion at the main airlock drew Hana's attention. She headed there and found a group of humans helping more humans through. These ones were injured. Burns. Broken bones. One was being carried on a stretcher. Hana recognized the uniform markings. These were crew from Resolute, the destroyer that had saved her ship. One of the injured humans saw her and tried to stand at attention. He winced in pain but kept his back straight. His uniform was torn and burned. His left arm was wrapped in temporary bandages, but his eyes were clear. "Captain Hana, I am Captain Tay of the Resolute. Admiral Yuna ordered us to dock here for medical treatment. I hope that is acceptable." Hana stared at him. This man had put his ship between her and death. His destroyer was now in 2 pieces, drifting in space. Many of his crew were dead, and he was apologizing for needing medical help. "Captain Tay," she said carefully, "you saved my ship. You saved my crew. You are welcome here for as long as you need. Please, let our medical team help your people." Tai nodded and swayed slightly. Nari appeared immediately, supporting him. "You have a concussion and 2nd-degree burns. Come with me. Now." As Nari led the human captain away, Voss approached Hana. "Captain, I have been speaking with the human engineers. They say they can restore our life support to 70% function within 3 hours. They have already repaired the main power distribution. We have full sensors back online." 3 hours? Our own engineers estimated 2 days minimum. The humans work very fast, and they brought many spare parts, things that fit our systems even though they were designed for human ships. Engineer Wu says that Earth studied Council ship designs before they sent this fleet. They prepared to rescue us specifically. Hana absorbed that information. Earth had prepared. They hadn't just rushed to help. They had studied, planned, and brought what they knew they would need. This wasn't a reckless gesture. It was a calculated military operation. She found Wu in the engine room, waist deep in an access panel. He was talking with her chief engineer, a being with 6 arms and 3 eyes who specialized in power systems. "No, see, the coupling is not broken," Wu was saying. "It is just disconnected. If we reroute through this junction here, we can bypass the damaged section completely. You will lose maybe 5% efficiency, but the system will work." The chief engineer made a gesture of agreement with 2 of his arms. Yes, I see it now. We did not think to reroute that way. It violates standard safety protocols." Wu grinned. "Sometimes safe is not what you need. Sometimes you need functional. We can fix it properly later. Right now, we need your crew breathing." They worked together, the human and the alien, solving a problem through shared understanding of engineering principles. Watching them, Hana felt something she hadn't felt in days: hope. She went to find Captain Tay in Medical Bay. He was sitting on a bed, his burns being treated by both Nari and one of Hana's medical officers. They were discussing his injuries in technical terms, comparing human and alien medicine. "Captain Tay," Hana said, "may I speak with you?" "Of course." He started to stand, but Nari pushed him back down. "You can talk sitting. Your body needs to heal." Hana pulled up a chair. For a moment, she didn't know what to say. How do you thank someone for dying to save you? Except he hadn't died. He was here, alive, looking at her with patient curiosity. "Why did you do it?" she finally asked. "Why did you put your ship in front of that weapon? You knew it would destroy you." Tay was quiet for a moment. Admiral Yuna gave our fleet clear orders before we left Earth. The Harmony's promise. And its crew were our priority. All other considerations were secondary. When I saw that Vrexian ship preparing to fire on you, I had a choice. Let it fire, and you die, or block the shot. The choice was simple. But your crew, most of them survived. We trained for this. When we saw the weapon charging, we had 17 seconds. Everyone moved to the aft section. We sealed the bulkheads. When the hit came, the forward section was already evacuated. We lost 6 crew members, 6 brave people who didn't make it to safety in time. But 48 survived, and you survived. That was the mission. Hana's hands were shaking. We are strangers. You barely know us. Your people barely know any of us. Earth has been part of the Council for only 15 months. Why would you sacrifice so much for us? Tay smiled, and it was a sad smile. Captain Hana, do you know Earth's history? What we did to each other before we reached the stars? I read the reports. Wars, many wars. Thousands of years of wars, millions of deaths. We got very, very good at killing each other. We developed weapons that could destroy our entire planet. We came close to using them several times. But eventually we learned. We learned that the only way to survive was to work together, to protect each other. When Earth finally looked up at the stars and found out we were not alone, we made a decision. We would not be conquerors. We would not be victims. We would be protectors. He met her eyes. You called for help. That is all that mattered. Someone needed help, and we could provide it. The risk was irrelevant. The cost was irrelevant. You called, so we came. Nari finished treating his burns and moved to check on other patients. Hana sat with Tai in silence for a moment. Around them, humans and aliens worked together, saving a ship and its crew. Earth is dangerous, Hana said quietly. Your weapons, your tactics, your willingness to sacrifice. The Council will be afraid of you after this. Maybe, Tay agreed, but they will also know that if they call for help, Earth answers. Fear and trust can exist together. We will prove we deserve the trust. A voice came over the ship's speakers. Engineer Wu. Captain Hana, this is the engineering team. Life support is back online, full function. You can breathe easy now. Cheers erupted throughout the ship, humans and aliens alike celebrating. A crisis averted, a ship saved. Hana stood and bowed to Captain Tay. Thank you. From all of us, thank you. Tay returned the bow. We were happy to help. That is what Earth does. Later, Hana stood on her bridge and looked at the main screen. The human fleet had formed a protective sphere around Harmony's promise. Repair shuttles moved between the ships. The captured Vrexian cruiser sat under guard, its crew in custody. And in the distance, she could see the wreckage of Resolute, broken but not forgotten. Admiral Yuna's face appeared on screen. Captain Hana, we are preparing to escort you to the nearest council station. Your ship cannot make quantum jumps in its condition. But we have vessels that can generate a tow field. We will bring you home. Admiral, how can we ever repay you? Yuna smiled. You already did. You called for help. You trusted us to come. You gave Earth a chance to prove what we can be. That is payment enough. The transmission ended. Hana looked around her bridge, at her crew alive and hopeful, at the human engineers still working at damaged stations, at the stars outside, no longer threatening but filled with possibility. Earth had come, Earth had fought, Earth had saved them, and the galaxy would never be the same. The journey to the nearest council station would take 6 days at the speed Harmony's Promise could manage. The ship was repaired enough to travel, but not enough to jump through quantum space. 2 human cruisers generated a tow field that pulled the damaged vessel along, while the rest of the fleet maintained escort positions. Hana spent the first day writing reports. She documented everything: the Vrexian ambush, the distress call, the human response, the battle. She included tactical analysis, sensor recordings, and crew testimonies. The Council would want to know exactly what happened. More importantly, they would want to know about the humans. On the second day, Admiral Yuna invited Hana to tour the Defiant Dawn. A shuttle brought the captain across, along with Voss and Thel. The carrier was enormous up close, larger than any ship in the Council fleet Hana had served with. But it was also visibly damaged. The forward section where the Vrexian plasma lance had struck was blackened and torn. Repair crews swarmed over it, replacing armor plates and fixing internal systems. Yuna met them at the shuttle bay. She was shorter than Hana had expected, but there was strength in her eyes and in the way she carried herself. "Welcome aboard, Defiant Dawn. I will show you what Earth brought to this fight." She led them through the ship. The corridors were wider than on council vessels, with handrails and grip points everywhere. Gravity was generated by rotation rather than artificial fields, which meant the outer sections felt normal while the inner core was weightless. It was old technology, inefficient, but it worked. "Why do you use rotation for gravity?" Voss asked. "Artificial gravity fields are more efficient and take less space." "Because rotation cannot fail," Yuna replied. "Artificial fields require power and maintenance. Rotation is physics. As long as the ship spins, we have gravity. Earth builds for reliability, not elegance." They passed through crew quarters, small, cramped spaces where human personnel lived. Each room had emergency supplies, breathing masks, and evacuation instructions posted on the walls. Everything was labeled in multiple languages, not just human languages, but also the major council languages. Earth had prepared to work alongside aliens. Yuna showed them the weapons bays, massive railgun turrets, each one capable of accelerating projectiles to incredible speeds, missile storage with hundreds of warheads, point defense systems designed to shoot down incoming fire, all of it mechanical, physical, real. "No energy weapons at all?" Hana asked. "We have lasers for point defense and targeting," Yuna said, "but our main weapons are kinetic. We found that energy shields, which every council species uses, are designed to disperse energy. They are very good at it. But solid projectiles? Shields were not designed for the speeds and masses we can achieve. It is an old weakness in modern technology." Thel's crystalline form flickered as he processed this. "You found a tactical advantage in primitive technology." "We found that primitive is a label, not a fact. Kinetic weapons work, so we made them work better." Yuna smiled slightly. "Every species in the Council abandoned kinetic weapons 300 years ago. They all switched to plasma and particle beams. They all use the same shields, the same tactics, the same thinking. Earth arrives with weapons they forgot how to fight. That gives us an edge." She led them to the command center. It was different from council ship bridges, more spread out, with multiple stations and redundant controls. The main screen showed the fleet in formation, Harmony's Promise safely in the center. "Admiral," one of the officers called out, "we are receiving a transmission from the council station. They want to know our identity and intentions." "Send our credentials and the situation report Captain Hana provided. Tell them we are escorting a damaged diplomatic vessel and will arrive in 5 days." The officer obeyed. A moment later, he looked up in surprise. "Admiral, they are requesting that you change course to a military station instead. They want to debrief the crew and examine our ships." Yuna's expression hardened. "Tell them we are escorting Harmony's Promise to the nearest station as promised." We will cooperate with any investigation, but we will not change our mission. The crew has been through enough. They deserve to go home." There was silence while the message was sent and a response received. "The Council agrees, Admiral, but they are sending a delegation to meet us at the station. Multiple Council members want to speak with you personally." "Expected," Yuna said quietly. She turned to Hana. "They are afraid of us now. They saw what we can do. That fear will make the next part complicated." "The next part?" "Politics. Military power is easy, but fitting into the galactic community, that takes more than weapons." Yuna gestured to the screen, where the fleet maintained its protective formation. "Earth does not want to be feared. We want to be trusted. That will be harder to achieve." Over the following days, Hana spent time on both her ship and the human vessels. She watched human and alien crew members work together, learning each other's languages and customs. She saw human engineers teaching Council crew about kinetic weapons, while Council scientists explained quantum physics to eager human students. There was curiosity on both sides and respect. Captain Tay recovered enough to return to duty, though his destroyer was gone. He now commanded the rescue operations, coordinating the fleet's efforts to keep Harmony's Promise functional. He visited Hana's bridge often, checking on the crew and offering help wherever needed. On the fourth day, Hana found him in her ship's mess hall, eating with her crew. He was learning to eat Council food, trying different dishes while her crew taught him what was safe for human biology. They laughed when he tried something too spicy and had to drink 3 glasses of water. Hana sat down beside him. "You are comfortable with my crew." "They saved my life as much as I saved theirs," Tay replied. "After Resolute was hit, your medical officer kept me stable until Nari could take over. Your engineer helped rescue my trapped crew members. We helped each other. That makes us friends." "Is it always this easy for humans? Making friends with aliens?" Tay considered the question. "Easy? No. Different species, different cultures, different ways of thinking. But possible? Yes. Humans spent thousands of years learning to work with people different from us. Different skin colors, different languages, different beliefs. We made many mistakes. We fought terrible wars. But we learned. When we met you, met all the Council species, it was the same lesson on a bigger scale." He smiled. "Besides, we are not so different. You care about your crew. I care about mine. You want to go home. I want to help you get there. Those are universal things. We start with what we have in common and build from there." On the 5th day, the Council station appeared on long-range sensors. It was a massive structure, a hub for trade and diplomacy in this sector. Dozens of ships orbited it, from tiny shuttles to large freighters. As the human fleet approached, all traffic stopped. Everyone wanted to see the Earth vessels that had defeated 3 Vrexian cruisers. Yuna contacted Hana. "Captain, we will dock Harmony's Promise at the station and transfer your crew. After that, my fleet will move to a parking orbit. The Council wants to inspect our ships and interview our personnel. We have agreed to full cooperation. Will they try to take your technology? They will try to understand it. That is different. We are willing to share knowledge, but Earth's weapons are only effective because the Council forgot how to defend against them. Once they remember, once they adapt, we lose our advantage, so we will share carefully." The docking procedure took hours. Harmony's Promise was guided into a repair bay while medical teams and diplomats swarmed aboard. Hana's crew was taken for medical evaluation and debriefing. Each one would tell their story. Each one would describe what they saw. Before leaving her ship, Hana met with Yuna one final time. They stood in the cargo bay that had been a shelter during the darkest hours. "What will happen now?" Hana asked. "To Earth? To your fleet?" "Honestly, I do not know. The Council will be afraid of us. Some will want to restrict us, control us, maybe even expel us. Others will want to recruit us, use us as weapons against their enemies. Earth will have to navigate carefully. What does Earth want? Yuna was quiet for a moment. We want what we have always wanted. To be part of something larger than ourselves. To explore, to learn, to help. We did not come to the stars to conquer or dominate. We came because we were curious, because we hoped to find friends out here. She looked at Hana directly. Did we? Find friends? Hana thought about the human engineers working on her ship, about Nari treating Thel's injuries, about Captain Tay putting his ship between her and death, about all the humans who came when no one else would. Yes, she said. You did. They shook hands. A human gesture that Hana had learned. Then Yuna returned to her shuttle, and Hana walked into the station to face the Council. In the docking bay, she looked back one more time at Harmony's promise. The ship was battered but intact. Her crew was alive and safe. And in orbit above, the human fleet waited patiently, their weapons silent but ready. Earth had answered the call. Now the galaxy would decide what that meant. But Hana already knew. It meant that no one would ever be truly alone again. Not while Earth was listening. Not while humans kept their promises. The Galactic Council chamber was a massive dome that could hold 5,000 beings. Today, it was completely full. Representatives from every member species filled the seats, arranged in circles that rose toward the ceiling. At the center stood a platform where speakers addressed the assembly. Hana sat in a special witness section, along with her surviving crew. They had been at the station for 2 days, giving testimony and answering questions. Medical teams had examined them. Intelligence officers had debriefed them. Diplomats had asked them to describe the battle over and over again. Now the Council would decide what to do about Earth. The Council leader, an ancient being named Krell from a species that had been exploring space for 10,000 years, called the session to order. His voice was amplified throughout the chamber. We gather to discuss the incident at Sector 7-9, where the Council vessel, Harmony's Promise, was attacked by Vrexian forces. We also discuss the response by Earth Defense Force vessels, which resulted in the destruction of 2 Vrexian cruisers and the capture of a third. Captain Hana of Harmony's Promise will speak first. Hana walked to the center platform. She felt 5,000 eyes watching her. She had given testimony before, but never to the entire Council, never about something this important. She described the ambush, the distress call, the hopelessness. Then she described the human response. She did not exaggerate or dramatize. She simply told the truth. When she finished, the chamber was silent. Krell spoke. Captain Hana, in your professional opinion as a military officer with 15 years of service, how would you rate the human fleet's capability? Exceptional, Council Leader. Their weapons bypassed our standard defenses. Their tactics were aggressive but precise. Their willingness to sacrifice for others was beyond anything I have seen in my career. Without them, my crew and I would be dead. You heard the assessment of Earth before this incident. They were rated as minimally capable. How do you explain the difference? Hana chose her words carefully. The assessment was based on comparing Earth technology to Council technology. We assumed that because they use older methods, they are weaker. We were wrong. Earth builds their ships and weapons around different principles. Those principles proved effective. Murmurs spread through the chamber. Krell raised a limb for silence. Thank you, Captain Hana. You may return to your seat. Next, several Council military officers gave their analysis. They showed sensor recordings of the battle, tactical breakdowns, damage assessments. They explained how human weapons worked, how the kinetic penetrators overwhelmed shields designed for energy weapons. They discussed the implications. One officer, a veteran from a warrior species, was blunt. The humans exposed a critical weakness in Council defenses. Every ship in our fleet is vulnerable to these weapons. It would take years to redesign our shields, retrain our personnel, and adapt our tactics. In that time, Earth could threaten any world they choose. The chamber erupted in noise, fear, anger, accusations. Krell called for order, but it took minutes to restore calm. Then Earth's ambassador was called to speak. Hyun walked to the center platform with calm dignity. He was older, with gray hair and steady eyes. He had been a diplomat on Earth for 30 years before taking this position. He knew how to handle hostile audiences. "Members of the Council," he began, "I understand your fear. You have seen what Earth can do. You worry about our intentions. You wonder if we are a threat. Let me be clear. Earth seeks no conflict with the Council or any member species. We came to the stars in peace, and we remain committed to that peace." "Then why do you bring weapons?" someone shouted from the assembly. "Because the galaxy is not safe," Hyun replied calmly. "The Vrexians attacked a diplomatic vessel. Pirates raid trade routes. Conflicts erupt between member species. We saw this reality and prepared for it. Not to conquer, but to defend. Not to threaten, but to help." A council member from a species known for pacifism stood. "Ambassador Hyun, your weapons killed thousands of Vrexian crew members. You destroyed 2 ships completely. How is this different from the aggression you claim to oppose?" Hyun met her eyes. "The Vrexians fired first. They attacked a defenseless diplomatic vessel. They murdered 19 crew members in their initial assault. They refused to withdraw when given the chance. We responded with exactly the force necessary to stop them and rescue Harmony's promise. When the surviving Vrexians surrendered, we treated them with medical care and dignity. We follow the laws of war. We do not start conflicts, but we will finish them." Another member stood, this one from a powerful military species. "Ambassador, your fleet defeated 3 modern cruisers with primitive technology. What happens when you upgrade? When you have energy shields and quantum drives combined with your kinetic weapons? Will you still claim peaceful intentions when no one can stop you?" This was the real question, Hana realized. The core fear. Not what Earth had done, but what Earth could do. Hyun took a deep breath. "Let me tell you about Earth's history. For thousands of years, my people fought each other. We developed weapons of terrible power. Nuclear bombs that could destroy cities. Biological weapons that could kill billions. Chemical weapons that could poison entire continents. We aimed these weapons at each other for decades. We came close to destroying our own world multiple times." He paused, letting that sink in. "But we did not destroy ourselves. We learned. We chose differently. We built organizations to prevent war. We signed treaties. We destroyed weapons. It was not easy. It took centuries. Many died. But we learned that the only way to survive was to work together. When Earth reached the stars and found the Council, we had a choice. Would we repeat our mistakes on a galactic scale? Would we become conquerors? Or would we be something better?" Hyun's voice grew stronger. "We chose better. We chose to join the Council, to follow galactic law, to offer our strength in defense of those who cannot defend themselves. That is Earth's purpose in the galaxy, not domination, protection." The chamber was silent now. Hyun continued. "You ask what happens when Earth gets stronger? I will tell you. We will get stronger so we can protect more people, so we can respond faster when distress calls come, so we can stand between the innocent and those who would harm them. That is what we did for Harmony's promise. That is what we will do for any council member who calls for help." Admiral Yuna was called next. She described the battle from Earth's perspective, the tactical decisions, the damage taken, the sacrifice of Resolute. She was honest about everything, holding nothing back. "We lost 6 crew members in that battle," she said, 6 humans who died saving aliens they had never met. Their families will grieve, but they will also be proud because those 6 died doing what Earth believes in, helping others. A council member asked, "Admiral, would you make the same choice again? Would you sacrifice human lives for aliens?" "Yes," Yuna answered without hesitation. "Without question. Because the alternative is worse. The alternative is watching people die when we could have saved them. Earth will not do that. We cannot. It goes against everything we are." The session continued for hours. More witnesses, more questions, more debate. Hana watched it all, seeing the council struggle with a new reality. Earth had changed the balance of power. Nothing would be the same. Finally, Krell called for a vote. The council must decide Earth's status. 3 options. We can grant full military partnership, recognizing Earth as a major defensive power. We can maintain current limited status with restrictions on military operations. Or we can expel Earth from the council for security reasons. Council members, you have 1 hour to deliberate. The hour passed in tense silence. Hana sat with her crew, watching the council members talk among themselves. Some looked angry, some looked thoughtful, some looked at the human delegation with something like respect. When the vote was called, the results were displayed on the massive screens. Krell read them aloud. For expulsion, 47 votes. For restricted status, 112 votes. For full military partnership, 379 votes. The chamber erupted in noise again, but this time it was different. Not fear. Something else. Recognition, maybe. Acceptance. Krell waited for quiet. The council has spoken. Earth is granted full military partnership status, with all rights and responsibilities that entails. This includes the right to establish defense agreements with member species, the obligation to respond to council military emergencies, and a permanent seat on the Strategic Defense Committee. Hyun bowed deeply. Earth accepts this honor and responsibility. We will prove worthy of your trust. As the session ended and beings began to leave, many approached the human delegation. Some wanted to thank them, others wanted to establish diplomatic contacts. Several smaller species, those who had always been vulnerable to larger powers, specifically requested meetings to discuss defense agreements. Hana found Hyun in the crowd. "Ambassador, congratulations." "Thank you, Captain. But this is not the end. It is just the beginning. Earth must now prove that we deserve this trust. That will be the harder task." "You already proved it," Hana said. "You came when no one else would. You saved my crew. What more proof do you need?" Hyun smiled. "That was one rescue. One battle. The galaxy will watch everything Earth does now. Every decision. Every action. We must be consistent. We must keep our promises. One mistake, and all this trust disappears." Voss approached, his breathing apparatus hissing softly. "Ambassador Hyun, my species would like to request a formal meeting. We are interested in establishing a mutual defense agreement with Earth." "Of course, we would be honored." More approached, more requests, more hope. Earth had shown the galaxy what they could do. Now beings wanted that protection for themselves. Hana watched it all and realized something. Earth had not just saved her ship. They had changed the galaxy's future. They had shown that it was possible to be strong and kind, powerful and protective, capable of violence but choosing peace. Other species would learn from this. Some would copy Earth's weapons, others would copy their values. Either way, the galaxy was different now. And maybe, Hana thought, it was different in a better way. She looked at the human delegation, surrounded by aliens seeking their help. Earth had come to the stars hoping to find friends. They had found something better. They had found people who needed them. 6 months passed after the Battle of Harmony's stand, as historians began calling it. The galaxy was still adjusting to the new reality of Earth's presence. Hana watched these changes from her new position as liaison officer between the Council and Earth's military forces. She worked from an office on the Council station, coordinating between Council operations and Earth's growing network of defense agreements. 17 species had now signed formal protection agreements with Earth. Dozens more had requested informal cooperation. Earth's fleet was expanding, with new ships being built and crews being trained. But the most important changes were not military. They were philosophical. Hana received a message one morning from a species she had never heard of. The Pelians, a small civilization at the edge of Council space. They had been raided by pirates 3 times in the past year. The Council had sent patrol ships, but the pirates always returned. The Pelians were desperate. "Please," their representative said through the communication link, "we heard what Earth did for you. We heard they came when no one else would. We need help. Will they come for us too?" Hana forwarded the request to Earth's Defense Command. Within an hour, she had a response from Admiral Yuna herself. 2 destroyers and a cruiser were already in that sector on patrol. They would reach Pelian space in 8 hours. The next day, the Pelians sent a grateful message. The Earth ships had arrived and immediately established a patrol pattern. The pirates had detected the human vessels, seen their weapons capabilities in the database, and fled. No shots were fired. No one died. But the Pelians were safe. "Earth kept their promise," the Pelian representative said, tears in their eyes. "They actually came." It became a pattern. A species would call for help. Earth would respond. Sometimes it required military action. Sometimes just presence was enough. But Earth always answered. At a galactic academy on the Council's central world, human instructors were teaching courses on defensive tactics. Their students included officers from 30 different species, all eager to learn how Earth combined old and new technologies so effectively. One day, Hana visited the academy to give a guest lecture. She told her story to a room full of young officers. She described the fear, the hopelessness, and then the moment when human ships appeared. "We expected no backup," she told them. "Every military calculation said we were alone. But Earth came anyway. They came because we called. They came because it was the right thing to do. That is the lesson I want you to remember. Not the tactics, not the weapons, but the choice Earth made to help strangers." After the lecture, a young officer from a prey species approached her. "Captain Hana, my people have always been victims. Larger species push us around. Pirates prey on us. We joined the Council hoping for protection, but we were too small to matter. Then Earth arrived. Suddenly, size does not matter anymore. What matters is need. Earth helps those who need help, regardless of power or status. That gives people like me hope." Hana thought about those words later as she reviewed reports. She was right. Earth had changed the calculation. It was not about being powerful enough to matter. It was about needing help. And Earth had proven they would respond to anyone who needed them. In the Rexian territories, changes were happening too. The Dominion had been humbled by their defeat. Their military strategists studied the Battle of Harmony's stand obsessively, trying to understand how they lost. But more importantly, their diplomats were reaching out to the Council, asking for peace negotiations. Crix, the commander who had threatened Hana, was on trial for war crimes. But he was also talking. He told interrogators about Vrexian military culture, about the assumption that might made right. He described how the defeat had shaken his people's worldview. "We thought we were strong," Crix said in his testimony. "We thought our modern weapons made us superior. Then humans arrived with weapons we considered obsolete and destroyed us. It made us realize strength is not about having the newest technology. It is about knowing how to use what you have. Humans knew. We did not." He paused. "But what truly defeated us was not their weapons. It was their purpose. We fought for dominance. They fought to save others. Purpose gives strength meaning. We had forgotten that." The Vrexian Dominion signed a ceasefire with the Council 3 months after the battle. It was not full peace, but it was a start, and Earthships patrolled the border, ensuring both sides honored the agreement. Captain Tay, now promoted to command a new destroyer named Defiant, visited the Council station regularly. He and Hana had become friends, meeting for meals and discussing the changing galaxy. Today, they sat in an observation lounge, watching ships come and go from the massive station. "Do you ever regret it?" Hana asked. "Losing Resolute? 6 crew members dead? Your career could have been over." Tay shook his head. "Regret saving your crew? Never. Those 6 people who died, they knew what they were doing. They were volunteers. Every person on that ship chose to be there, chose to put themselves between others and harm. Their deaths had meaning. That matters." He gestured to the viewport. "Look at that. 17 species now fly with Earth's protection. Pirates are afraid to attack trade routes because Earth might be patrolling. Smaller civilizations speak up in council meetings because they know Earth supports them. How many lives have we saved? Thousands? Millions? My 6 crew members would say it was worth it." "You sound very certain." "I am. Because I asked them. Before we left Earth, I gathered my crew and explained the mission. I told them we might face danger. We might die protecting aliens we had never met. I gave everyone the option to transfer to safer assignments. Want to know how many took it?" "How many?" 0. Not one person. They all wanted to come. They all wanted to help. That is what Earth is, Hana. Not weapons or ships. It is people who choose to help." A message came through to Hana's datapad. She read it and smiled. "The Council is dedicating a memorial today. For the crew of Resolute. For all the humans who fought at Harmony's stand. They want you to attend. I will be there. All of us will." The memorial was a simple monument in a public plaza on the station. 6 names carved in stone representing the humans who died in battle, but around those names were symbols of every species that served on Harmony's promise, recognition that this was a shared sacrifice. Admiral Yuna spoke at the ceremony. "These 6 gave their lives doing what humans do best, helping others. They will be remembered not for how they died, but for why they died. They died so that 47 beings from 12 species could live. They died proving that Earth keeps its promises. They died making the galaxy a little bit safer, a little bit kinder. That is a good death. An honorable death. A death that means something." Hana stood with the survivors of her crew watching the ceremony. She saw Thel, his crystalline form fully healed and glowing bright. She saw Voss, who had come to respect the humans he once doubted. She saw all 47 survivors standing together. After the ceremony, they gathered as they had every week since the battle. Humans and aliens sharing a meal and stories. It had become a tradition. The survivors of Harmony's stand, as they called themselves, met regularly to remember and to celebrate. An alarm sounded through the station. Not an emergency, but an alert. Hana checked her datapad. A distress call had come in from the far edge of Council space. A research vessel was under attack by unknown hostiles. Council forces were 12 hours away, but Earth ships were only 3 hours away. Hana contacted Earth Defense Command. Within minutes, she had confirmation. The cruiser, Steadfast, and 2 destroyers were changing course. They would reach the research vessel in time. She sent a message to the research vessel. "Help is coming. Earth is coming. Hold on." The reply came back immediately. "Earth? They will really come for us. We are just a small research team. We are not important." Hana smiled as she typed her response. "You called for help. That makes you important. That makes you matter. Earth is listening. Earth is coming. Always." She thought about how much had changed in 6 months, how many lives had been saved, How many species now believed that help would come when they called. How the galaxy had learned that someone was listening. Earth had not come to the stars seeking glory or territory. They had come seeking purpose, and they had found it in the simplest, most profound way possible, by helping those who needed help. The galaxy's military academies now taught human tactics. Engineers studied human ship designs. Diplomats learned about human negotiation methods. But the real lesson, the important lesson, was not about technique. It was about values. It was about choosing to help, about keeping promises, about standing between danger and those who could not stand alone. Hana received reports throughout the day. The Earth ships reached the research vessel in time. The hostile forces retreated without a fight. They had learned that attacking under Earth's watch was not wise. The researchers were safe, another rescue, another promise kept. As she worked, Hana thought about something Ambassador Hyun had said months ago. This is just the beginning. We must prove worthy of trust. Earth was proving it. Every day, every rescue, every promise kept. They were proving that power could be used for protection rather than domination, that strength could be gentle, that the mighty could defend the weak not from obligation, but from choice. Other species were learning from this example. The Council's culture was slowly shifting. The strong were beginning to see protection as a responsibility rather than a burden. The weak were beginning to speak up, knowing someone would listen. It was not perfect. There were still conflicts, still wars, still suffering. But there was also hope. There was the knowledge that if you called for help, someone would answer. In the quiet of her office that night, Hana composed a report to the Council. She described the rescue of the research vessel. She noted the growing number of defense agreements. She documented the changes spreading through the galaxy. At the end of her report, she added a personal note. 6 months ago, my crew and I waited to die. We had lost hope. Then Earth came. They came not because they expected gratitude or reward. They came because we called, because we needed help. That single choice has changed the galaxy more than any technology or weapon could. Earth showed us that the most powerful force in the universe is not plasma or energy or quantum mechanics. It is the simple choice to help when help is needed. May the Council remember this lesson. She sent the report and looked out her window at the stars. Somewhere out there, human ships were patrolling. Somewhere, crews were training. Somewhere, engineers were building new vessels. All of it focused on one simple mission: answer the call. Help those who need help. Keep the promises. A new age had begun. Not an age of empire or conquest. An age of protection. An age where backup is coming meant something real and true. An age where Earth was listening, and Earth always answered.